Hi, this is Brian Kim. I'm going to share with you episode number 5 in the From Good to Great series. And in this series, I'm trying to find superior ways, different ways, better ways perhaps, than the way you're doing the surgery. Again, your surgery and the way you're doing it might be good, but some of these concepts and principles might be able to elevate you from good to great. And this particular series is going to be focusing on the OVD cannula. You can use that OVD cannula throughout multiple steps of the surgery, and I'm going to show you that in these cases. And then finally, I'm going to show you how you can maximize control during your capsulorhexis using the OVD cannula, because you're going to be able to push OVD during your capsulorhexis. You're going to see what I mean in these cases. So you can see I'm injecting dispersive viscoelastic to coat the corneal endothelium and flatten the anterior capsule. But look, I'm also using the cannula with the Orlock technique to turn the eye towards the left, which is down. This is a left eye, and this allows me to perform my triplanar corneal incision. So when we focus on the viscoelastic cannula, I'm using it to, again, fill the chamber with viscoelastic, which is its normal job, and I'm using the cannula to hold the eye with the Orlock technique when the patient has a strong Bell's reflex. But also I'm able to use it for my capsulorhexis. So you can see I'm performing my capsulorhexis, and I'm going as I usually do. When I sense that the rhexis is running out a little bit, like right here, I can push more viscoelastic with the cannula and finish off my rhexis. So again, the cannula has multiple purposes, but I'm able to refill the chamber with the viscoelastic. And you can see here at the end of the case, when I'm finishing off and hydrating my incisions, take a look. Now I'm able to have a beautiful, well-sized and centered rhexis, but you can see here with the ink mark on the left side around 9 to 10 o'clock, that's when the rhexis started to run out, and I was able to redirect it by pushing viscoelastic, flatten the anterior capsule. I was able to save and salvage a potential run out of the rhexis and an asymmetric appearing rhexis. So this is the second case. Again, I'm pushing viscoelastic. This is what you're supposed to do with it. You're flattening the anterior capsule and coating the corneal endothelium. But I'm also able to control the eye for my triplanar corneal incision. And so with that same cannula, I'm able to control the eye without any additional instrumentation. And so that's the whole point of this. Why keep using a bunch of instruments for every single step? It makes no sense. Try to consolidate your instruments in as many steps as possible. This makes you more efficient, but also it makes it really gentler and safer on the patient. And so you can see my standard rhexis technique, but you can see there's a little bit of run out pressure here. So I stop, I push some more viscoelastic in, I'm able to redirect those forces. With the flattened anterior capsule, I'm able to have much more control with the rhexis, and I'm able to go around circumferentially and finish off the rhexis. So again, while I'm doing the rhexis, if I feel that there's some radialization pressure, I can stop, push more viscoelastic in, redirect the forces, and finish the case. And so again, this is the end of the case. The lens is already in. I'm hydrating my incisions. Everything looks great. And you can see here, I have a perfectly well-centered and sized rhexis. But you can see here, at about 1 o'clock, you can see that little bit of a notch on the rhexis, and that is where I had to stop and redirect the forces. And I was able to make sure that the rhexis was still in good position and orientation without significant radialization of the rhexis through using OVD during the rhexis to push more viscoelastic to flatten the capsule and finish off the rhexis. Again, that OVD cannula has multiple purposes, and that's the whole point. Use that same cannula through multiple steps of the surgery, which allows you more efficiency and also less manipulation and potential harm to the patient. So again, I'm pushing viscoelastic. You can see this is a really big eye, and I'm able to turn the eye. Again, this is the left eye. I'm using the Orlock technique to control the eye for my triplanar corneal incision. You can see how big the pupil got when I pushed the viscoelastic, which means it did a great job into viscodilating, but also hopefully to flatten the anterior capsule. So I'll go ahead and puncture the center. And this is my standard rhexis technique. Once again, I'm going around circumferentially. Everything's looking really good here. But I feel right here that there's some radialization forces. So I go ahead and stop, push more viscoelastic to flatten the anterior capsule with the OVD. And then I'm able to continue my capsulorhexis and finish it off. And so this is the end of the case. The lens is in. I'm hydrating my incisions. I cannot overstate how important it is to be able to be comfortable and confident with having a two-handed approach to cataract surgery. I mean, that's really implicit in a lot of my videos, but you need to be comfortable using both hands in the eye at the same time. Not just for cataract surgery, but any type of anterior segment surgery. You need to be really comfortable using both hands simultaneously while you're doing surgery. And specifically in this situation, when you're trying to do the rhexis, you can push OVD with your left hand, your non-dominant hand, as you're doing the rhexis. So you can see again on the left side, the 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock position, I was able to retrieve the rhexis and get better control and able to get a nice, well-centered and sized rhexis, even though I had radialization forces. As you can see on this small pupil case, I'm using the Orlock technique to again gain control of the eye during my triplanar corneal incision. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to go ahead and start my rhexis. I thought I was going to be okay with the rhexis using a one-handed technique, but then as I'm pushing my forceps into the capsule, I just feel like maybe I can help viscodilate the pupil with my OVD. And so here you can see subincisionally, there's a little bit of poor view of the rhexis edge. So I go ahead and push viscoelastic in at the same time to help viscodilate the pupil during the rhexis. And even though the pupil is fairly small, by doing viscodilation with the cannula simultaneously with my rhexis, I'm able to get good control. So this is the end of the case. I'm able to hydrate the incisions. Of course, in this case, you can't see the rhexis edge. The pupil is rather small. It's probably like 3 to 4 millimeters. Nonetheless, you were able to see I was able to push OVD simultaneously during the rhexis in order to viscodilate this small pupil. And so this is the end of the case. So again, in this series, I'm highlighting the fact that you should use the dispersive OVD cannula through multiple steps of the case. You push the viscoelastic in to do its primary job to coat the corneal endothelium and flatten the anterior capsule. I'm able to use the Orlock technique to control the eye when they have a strong Bell's reflex. I'm able to control the eye for my triplanar corneal incision. And then I'm able to control the eye and push more viscoelastic in when I'm doing my rhexis. As I'm doing my rhexis, if I feel like there's some radialization forces, I can quickly stop and then push viscoelastic in to flatten the anterior capsule, deepen the chamber, and then resume my rhexis with those radialization forces overcome and canceled out, and then resume the rhexis as routine. If you don't do it this way, what do? You have to stop, you have to take your rhexis forceps out, you push the OVD through the main incision, you start again. It's really not very efficient. By going in and out of the eye, in and out of the eye with multiple instruments, you can damage the eye, you can scratch the cornea, you can do something the patient can move, and more importantly, it's really less efficient, it's more manipulation, and you already have the instruments in the eye anyways. You have the cannula in the eye anyways because you pushed it to put the dispersive viscoelastic in the first place. Why take it out? Why take out that cannula when you can use it throughout the entire steps of the case? And so that's the most important thing. Don't stop, take the rhexis forceps out, push OVD in, go back in, because every time you go back in and out, guess what? You cause more OVD to come out. Again, you're wasting time. You can potentially cause trauma to the eye. Have those instruments in, ready to go, push viscoelastic in simultaneously as you're doing your rhexis, and you can redirect the rhexis, have better control, flatten the anterior capsule. And you saw in these examples how I was able to still achieve a well-centered incised rhexis by utilizing these techniques. Again, you want to take your technique to the next level. Don't be good, be great with your cataract surgery. So I hope this was helpful to you, and I thank you for your attention.